Hi, coordinators, and thank you for all that you do in service to our community. I begin with an apology because I hate to be told what to do, and yet I know that throughout the time of pandemic, a lot of our ordinary practices and procedures were temporarily disrupted. And so as we are now establishing ordinary routines, it's good for us to touch base on a lot of those practices, especially the ones that impact the ministry exercised by others. My hope is that as you watch these videos, you'll be given a lot of opportunity to laugh and hopefully even the chance to learn something new. Thanks. Hi, coordinators, and welcome back. I am among the first to admit that I love the ritual and the symbolism associated with lighting candles. I am literally on fire with the idea that every candle lighted in our church is not only lit from another candle, but ultimately is lighted from the new fire, the fire that is blessed at the Easter Vigil, the fire that dispels the darkness of death, the fire that is the light of Christ burning within us. Unfortunately, I have come to understand that a lot of the common practices associated with lighting and extinguishing candles very often create a mess that others need to clean up or to deal with. When we use the traditional igniter extinguisher, very often wax strips on the floor, on the altar cloth, a lot of places where someone else needs to do something about it. And similarly, using the extinguisher, very often as we press down on the candle, it disrupts the seal between the follower and the candle itself, permitting wax to spill out, again creating a mess. The wooden lighting sticks that many of us use, as they burn, they create ash and embers that fall into the candle itself, disrupting the burn of the candle, or they burn the altar cloth. And so as much as it pains me, I am asking that everyone, when lighting candles, simply use the clicker. It is not quite the ritual that we love, but it is a very effective way of lighting candles. Similarly, when it comes time to extinguish the candle after Mass, I ask that you simply place your hand behind the candle itself to contain any wax that may be spilled out, and simply to lightly extinguish it. Thank you. Hi, coordinators, and welcome back. As a regular recipient of the Mr. Obvious Award, it is my obligation to walk through procedures with which you are undoubtedly very familiar. But we have had a slight change in the procedure for preparation of the priest's chalice. We ask that when the chalice is set up here at the credence table before Mass, that the purificator be placed atop the chalice. On top of that is the paten with the priest's host, and finally that the chalice pall be placed atop the paten. Very simple, but very much appreciated. Thanks. Hi, coordinators, and welcome back. Just a very quick review of the way we are asking that the credence table be prepared. A number of items, of course, are placed at the credence table before Mass. We have the prepared priest chalice. We have 4 empty gold bowl ciboria for the distribution of Holy Communion, the pitcher, basin, and soft, fluffy towel for the washing of hands. More on that later. The cruet of water placed on the tray, the Rowan Missal that normally the priest himself will put at the credence table before Mass begins. However, I'd always ask to keep an eye on that, especially when a visiting priest is present. If they have not already done so, you'll want to remind them that they need to do that. And lastly, we have the tray on which the pyxes for distribution of Holy Communion to the homebound are placed. In addition to those pyxes, we also place the pyx with the low gluten hosts. Even if there are no additional pyxes that are placed here for those ministers to the homebound, I would ask that we always use that tray. I am throwing the altar servers under the bus and saying they are creatures of habit, but it really helps their ministry if everything is set out here in this usual fashion. Thanks. Hi, coordinators, and welcome back. Just a few housekeeping tips or reminders. In preparing the picks with low gluten hosts, we are asking that 6 hosts be placed in the picks for all masses. We have a different number of communicants who receive the low gluten host at each mass, but currently it seems like 6 is a number that will cover us even at the high demand periods. A reminder as well that I am greatly appreciative that a soft, fluffy terry cloth towel be placed at the credence table for the washing of hands rather than a grinding and grating microfiber towel. These are great for drying dishes, but not so good at drying dry hands. Finally, again, a reminder that our sacred vessels are very susceptible to scratching, and so we ask, especially when these are being stored or even simply carried to or from the credence table, that they be carried individually and not stacked one atop the other. That will allow them to serve us for many years to come in beautiful condition, and I am greatly appreciative for that help. Thanks. Hi, coordinators, and welcome back. Just a reminder of the importance of placing the key in the tabernacle before Mass begins. We have instructed all of our communion ministers that when there is a need to retrieve the consecrated host from the tabernacle during the distribution of Holy Communion, it is important, of course, that they're able to find the key in the tabernacle. Otherwise, they move from their communion station, come to the tabernacle, only to discover the key is not there, needing to track that down in another location. It certainly helps those ministers to undertake that work if the key is always placed in the tabernacle before Mass begins. Equally important, of course, is removing the key from the tabernacle after Mass and returning that to the vault in the sacristy. The only exception to that practice is on Sunday mornings. Following the 8 o'clock Mass, we do ask that the key remain in the tabernacle in preparation for the 10:30 Mass. Very simple action, but one that is greatly appreciated not only by me, but by many others as well. Thanks. Hi, coordinators, and welcome back. A reminder that following each Mass, we do ask that all of the communion ministers assist in consuming the remaining consecrated hosts that are placed in one of the bowl ciboria. The coordinator or any of the other ministers may take that vessel back to the sacristy. Again, we ask that everyone assist in that work. It is our practice of regularly consuming the remaining host rather than reserving all of them in the tabernacle, because the church teaches that it is most wonderful that the faithful, as the priest himself is obliged to do, should receive Holy Communion from the elements that are consecrated at the Mass they celebrate. I know there's always a concern that we do have communion available, especially for the sick, the homebound, on emergency occasions, and so I assure you that I, along with others, regularly monitor our tabernacle to ensure we are able to meet that need. But it is most important and most appreciated that after each Mass we do consume rather than reserve the Blessed Sacrament. Thank you. Hi, coordinators, and welcome back. Just a reminder of the importance of ensuring that the work sacristy door is closed before Mass begins. I am confident that every coordinator regularly and faithfully undertakes this action, but those pesky altar servers or other ministers traveling back and forth, no doubt, many times leave the door open. Our goal in ensuring that the door remains closed is helping those in the assembly to not be distracted by anything else, rather to allow their focus to remain on the action that is taking place and celebrated here in the sanctuary. When the door remains open, as you can tell, for everyone who is seated on this side of the church, they have a fabulous view of what is taking place here in the sacristy. And so this day we are joined by a very special friend who reminds us of the importance to please make sure that the sacristy door is closed. Thank you. Hi, coordinators, and welcome back. Again, a very quick reminder that before Mass begins, at the gift table are placed the gifts of bread and wine. The cruet with wine and the stopper atop it, as well as the large bowl ciborium with a lid. A couple reminders that, again, it is very important that the amount of bread prepared before Mass be adjusted in accordance with the size of the assembly. And so we'll talk about this in another video, but a reminder that extra hosts are always available in the priest's sacristy. Again, a reminder that in the ciborium, as you know very well, the only thing that is placed are those hosts for distribution to the assembly. Occasionally, I do find a surprise when I lift the lid and realize that other items have been placed in there, such as the Pix with low gluten host that should not be there. I do appreciate your kind attention and help in ensuring that the proper elements are ready for consecration. Thanks. Hi, coordinators, and welcome back. A quick reminder for not only our coordinators, but indeed for all of our ministers and all of the faithful, that in church, as we know well, there are many signs of reverence and respect that we show to our Lord present here in this place. In churches such as St. Barbara's, where the tabernacle is visible to the assembly upon entering, the sign of reverence that we offer is the genuflection. Otherwise, at times when we are approaching the altar, in those cases where the tabernacle is not visible, we offer a sign of reverence, a profound bow to the altar, as we acknowledge the presence of our Lord in the altar of sacrifice. The Church does teach that, as a matter of course, those signs of reverence are offered similar to any time we greet anyone, when we first come into their presence and when we leave. And so similarly here in church, we offer those signs of reverence when we first enter and again when we depart. Otherwise, the Church says that any other time passing before the altar or passing before the tabernacle, there is no need to stop and to offer that sign of reverence. For our communion ministers, this is especially appropriate to remember as we are moving with the Blessed Sacrament in our hands, because we are carrying the Lord present in that sacrament. There is no other sign of reverence, no need to bow, and certainly no need to genuflect at that time, because the Lord is in our midst. Thanks.